Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley, a couple hours before Notre Dame takes on North Carolina. Tim, this is a game where it looks like there's going to be a lot of offense. I don't know that we've ever focused on two safety cores as much as we are today. But number one for Notre Dame defensively, they are going to have to contain Sam Howell. We know what he can do through the air. If Notre Dame fans haven't seen him perform this year, he can do it with his feet as well.
Yeah, he's going to get some yards. You pointed out early in the week that he's going to get yards just deciding to run the ball. It's not just being elusive on 3rd and 8. It's QB power. He's a hard guy to bring down. Foskey talked about how he had some trouble bringing him down last year. I mean, Notre Dame completely flummoxed that offense last year in the second half. It's just going to be a little different this time around, and we've touched on the podcast. Brian Kelly talked about it. They got to pressure him, but then you got to make those rush lanes. You really got to be able to contain him. It's going to be tough.
We can talk about the back end of defenses, but the bottom line is if you win the line of scrimmage,
Right.
That's not going to come into play as much. Now, North Carolina has a veteran offensive line, but they have struggled. They've given up 27 sacks this year. Sam Howell's been sacked 98 times, or the North Carolina quarterbacks have been sacked 98 times in the last 32 games. So Notre Dame has to win at the point of attack. It's a veteran North Carolina team, but I think Notre Dame coming off the edge has a real advantage today.
Yeah, I think off the edge and in the interior. I think North Carolina struggled at center, way similar to Notre Dame earlier in the year at left tackle. That is Notre Dame's biggest edge, is the defensive line kind of just disrupting Howell. I mean, Howell escaping all he wants at 3rd and 12. Notre Dame has a plan for that, right? At 3rd and 12, every defense, especially Notre Dame, has a plan for that. And as you mentioned, we talk so much about the safeties. If Notre Dame wins up front consistently, assignment correct Houston Griffith and DJ Brown will be fine. It's if you put them in positions where their athleticism is supposed to be something similar to what they're replacing, then obviously you're going to struggle.
Now, a couple weeks ago, we wouldn't have thought that Notre Dame's offensive line could win at the point of attack against anybody. This is a North Carolina defense that can be very forgiving, and with the way the offensive line has played the last 2 weeks, or I should say 5 quarters in particular, I think that they can make some inroads. I think Tommy Rees, as we've been saying, it's a familiar phrase I've been using, but I think the playbook is wide open for him. Notre Dame should be able to run the football. If they can run the football, you can do just about anything you want then.
If they can run the football, I don't see how North Carolina stops them. If they can be successful in the first quarter passing on first down and on maybe on running downs where you just get them off balance all of a sudden, then Kyron Williams becomes too much to handle. It is still at the point with Notre Dame's offense, unlike last year where I say, I know they're going to move the ball, but will they cash in? The only thing that keeps Notre Dame under 30 points for me in this game is if Notre Dame shoots itself in the foot with a Cincinnati-type error, with some, an untimely 3-and-out. They only had 1 3-and-out last week. They had 9 combined in the previous 2 games. That's another thing. If you could just move the ball in North Carolina, I think the opportunities will present and they can cash in.
I mentioned the safety play at the top, and we're going to have our eyes on number 4 and number 2 on the back end for North Carolina. Number 0 is a good player back there playing some nickel, but DJ Brown and Houston Griffith and Isaiah Pryor are going to have to step up because Sam Howell, not only is he going to run a little bit, he's going to throw it too.
Yeah, and he'll be thrown to Josh Downs. We haven't talked about their best offensive player other than Howell. Tariq Bracy gets the first shot, obviously, but it's how the other guys tackle him too. It's not like Tariq Bracy's going to guard him the whole game, but it's not only up to Tariq Bracy. As you mentioned earlier in the week, they got to play zone just because of what Howell brings, the dimension he brings to the offense.
It's North Carolina against number 11 Fighting Irish from Notre Dame here in Notre Dame Stadium tonight.